Moon loops. Moon loops. Today's secret word is moon loops. Hey kids, it's Robert with Block Sonic Wafers. Today I thought I would go over my meager collection of Porcupine Tree and or Steven Wilson solo material. I just watched a video from Embryotic Robot, and Brian has picked up some early Porcupine Tree on vinyl, which I'm sure he's going to enjoy. So that kind of nudged me to pull out what I've got, which is by no means complete. And it begins with moon loops, as we saw in the intro. This is transmission number 4, they call it. Unedited improvisations. It's 40 minutes and 7 seconds. Comes in a plastic bag with a nice picture of the moon on it. It does have an inner sleeve, which also is polylined, and it has custom labels with moon stuff on there. So that is my first entry. So my introduction to Porcupine Tree came through a little group I was involved in, which was born of a conversation on a music group. The music group surrounded King Crimson, Adrian Belew related, and the topic came up, as does in most musical discussion groups, desert island discs. And then we started talking about making a mixed disc of what we would consider desert island music. And then we decided that there would be too much repetition in that sort of topic because, of course, we were on a music group around a certain topic. So then it came to a decision that we would make a mixed disc of music that we thought other people should be aware of, but most likely haven't heard. And of course, we were successful in that regard in some ways, and in some ways we weren't. But someone made a disc, and they threw a song on there by Porcupine Tree, and it was that song, The Sound of Muzak, from In Absentia. And that song was enough to pique my curiosity, and I got that album. That was my first Porcupine Tree. And then it grew from there. I had to continue to explore. So next, I am going to show Voyage 34. This is a more recent pressing on a double LP with great artwork, custom labels, great artwork on the inner sleeves. And this is an interesting album in that it's basically an acid trip concept where it walks you through the protagonist's trip, basically. And there's some narrative throughout with mostly, it's all instrumental, I believe. very experimental type album, but also very enjoyable. My understanding is when Steven Wilson began Porcupine Tree, he wanted people to think that it was an old prog band from the 70s. And so his music reflected that. And in the beginning, he was Porcupine Tree. He did all of the music on here, except for some drums occasionally. And at some point later, when he formed the band Porcupine Tree with real musicians, he went back on a lot of these recordings and replaced the drummer with Gavin Harrison. Gavin Harrison, being one of the best drummers on the planet, currently, or at least in this last incarnation of King Crimson. I don't know what that future holds. But this is Voyage 34. If you've never heard it, check it out. It's interesting. Next up, we have this record store day only release. It is called Catalog Preserve A Mass. It is from the European tour, October 2011, and features material from Grace for Drowning. Side 1, it's got Index, Deform to Form a Star, No Part of Me, and then side 2 is Raider 2, which is 23 minutes and 35 seconds. You know, Steven Wilson really likes to put out limited edition stuff. I think it's a great idea. Get a lot of good stuff out there that way. I hope we're avoiding a lot of glare. I'm not going to take this shrink off. Here's one called 4.5. Got a die cut cover. Really cool artwork. It has got basically leftover tracks and things of that nature. It's got My Book of Regrets, partially written in late 2013, finished in 2015. It's got Don't Hate Me on here, which was originally written in 1998 and recorded by Porcupine Tree on the album Stupid Dream. So we're going way back on that one. And it's got some unreleased tracks. Six in total. So I'm not sure why it's called 4.5. I'm sure there is a reason. Now we're up to Fear of a Blank Planet, double LP. This album features guests. Alex Lifeson is on here, Robert Fripp is on here, John Wesley is on here, and he kind of became a member there for a bit. And Ben Coleman on electric violin. This again was one of my early entries into the band. It's a little heavier than some of the earlier stuff. Definitely a good album. I highly recommend it if you don't have it. Now as we go along here, some of this stuff is going to get repeated because I have it in various formats and I haven't grouped them together, so they're going to come up once or twice or 3 times. Now we have arrived to the rare and coveted Dead Wing. How do I know? Because it says so on the hype sticker. Adrian Belew is a guest on this one, on 3 or 4 tracks. I was fortunate to see this tour. Always have great artwork by the Lass Hoyle, I believe is how you pronounce his last name. I asked him why his work tends towards such dark subject matter. And he said, well, don't you believe in life after death? I'm not sure if I do or not, but I hope to hell this ain't what it's going to be like. Okay. The 4 LP, Anesthetize, live in Tilburg, October 2008. Again, another very limited edition. Comes with a very nice booklet. Again, a lot of art, a lot of great art. 5 shots. Each LP has their own sleeve. And each one has their own heavy inner sleeve. Very cool set. I'm glad I snagged one of these. And now we're jumping ahead into Steve Wilson solo material. And this is his album To the Bone, in which Mr. Wilson really thought we wanted to see 100 pictures of his person. It's a very good album. It kind of took off in a more commercial direction, upsetting a lot of the Porcupine Tree fans, but I think most people have come to like it. And he has ventured further into different directions since this. Disbanded Porcupine Tree and recently pulled them back together, except for Colin Edwin on bass, and made one last hurrah, which he swears is the end of that story. So that's going to be the end of the vinyl portion of this collection, and in just a moment I shall resume with CDs.